Welcome back to the Playdate. I am your host, Susan Petersen.
And I am your host, Nia Louie.
And today we are talking about surviving the first week home. Nia, how'd it work?
Oh, it's always a struggle.
Okay, wait. I want to go back up. You just told me your daughter's name and I totally spaced it. What is wrong with me?
Keone.
Keone. I want to say Leone. Okay, Keone. Let's talk through her birth.
Okay, yeah. It was the easiest birth I've had.
Okay.
It was super fast. I started laboring during church. And I was like, it's always like, I always question, is this gas or am I constipated or is this like real?
Am I getting sick?
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, yeah, these are definitely contractions. And then I in my mind, I was like, I'm going to labor at home for as long as I can because my second, I labored forever. It felt like forever, like all day long into the evening. And it progressed really fast with her. They got stronger and closer together. And I was like, okay, we need to get to the hospital. So we dropped my boys off at my friend's house, our neighbor. And we went to the hospital. And within about 40 minutes, she was out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just a little sneeze and here she comes.
It was insane. It was so fast. They checked me and they're like, oh, you're at like a 7.5. And I'm like, oh, great. That's perfect. And then they walked me to our room. And I was like, before I even got on the bed, I was like, okay, I feel like I need to poop, and that's the sign that like she's coming. And so they got me on the bed and within like 2 pushes, it was like my water broke and then she came out. My water hadn't even broke, and it was just like insane.
So had you even changed?
Yeah, I changed before they checked me.
Oh, I got
and then
you.
they walked me to my room, and then like 5 minutes later, I was like, okay.
She really is the nicest, huh?
Oh my gosh, she's so great. Love that. And I just kept looking at my husband like, did that just happen? Is the baby here? Like, what? It was so crazy. It was crazy.
Oh, you couldn't. So next time you got to get to the hospital a lot faster if you're gonna have another kid.
Yes, for sure.
Because I've had friends one girl had her baby in the bathtub.
Oh,
shout out Jenna. And then a guy at our work, a guy that worked at Freshly Picked, his wife had her baby in the car.
Oh gosh.
On I-15.
Oh my gosh. That's terrifying. Right? So terrifying. I was thinking about a home birth, but then I was like, no, I think I would feel more like secure in a hospital for sure. Because I knew I was going to do it natural, but man, it came fast. It came so fast.
The cleanup is why I wouldn't do it at home.
Yeah. No. My house with 2 boys, not sanitary at all. Like, no way.
I mean, she's already going to have the best immune system ever, right?
Sure.
Okay. So then talk to me. So how long do you stay in the hospital?
About 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you come home.
Yeah.
And what is your first week like?
Well, my mom stayed with us the first night just so that she could be with our boys and we could get like a good night's sleep kind of.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I literally didn't raise a finger. My husband did everything.
Oh.
I stayed in bed, nursed, figured out breastfeeding again. I feel like every single time it's like, wait, what do I do?
Right.
How do I have a baby?
Right. Like you put them on and then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
What am I doing? And then your milk comes in and you're like, mother of pearl, this hurts.
Yes.
Like you forget all the feelings.
Oh my gosh. You can get that little tingle if you talk about it too much.
Yeah. But it was great. Honestly, easiest postpartum I've had,
Okay. So your mom stays for one night and then she goes home. Are your boys staying or did they go somewhere else?
Yeah, they were there.
Okay.
Yeah. But my husband literally took over. They would come in and like chill with us and stuff, but like I didn't leave the bed basically.
Wow.
He would like bring me food and we had meals brought to us for the first 18 days of being home.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of network do you have?
Just our neighbor.
What'd you tap into?
My best friend who lives down the street, she made like a meal train. It's like people can sign up or whatever. And everyone just signed up and started bringing us food.
That is so nice.
Yeah.
If you have a friend that's going through labor, that's what I would do with them.
Oh,
for
100%.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
To not have to think about what to eat.
Because my husband can't cook worth crap. He cannot. So
also going to the store with 2 kids and a newborn.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Can't even think about it.
Right. And they were just like home cooked, ready to eat meals.
Right.
So
Right.
It was great. It was fantastic.
And who cares if it's not exactly what you wanted?
Right. I will eat anything.
Yes.
So it was great. It was honestly so easy, so great. He made it so easy for me.
Okay. So that was your easiest. What was your hardest come home from the hospital?
My first.
Okay. Explain to me why.
I was living with my parents. I was single.
Yes.
I was going through all the emotions of that, and being home without a spouse that's like in it as equally as you are
Yeah.
is very different.
So did you feel like everything was on you?
Yeah. And of course my mom was like, I will help with whatever,
Mhm.
but I feel like I was like, no, I got this. Like,
Right.
I can do it. And I think that did come from like the guilt of like, I did it wrong type thing. I know now that I didn't, it happened for a reason.
How did you, we're going to go off topic a little bit, but how did you get over that guilt?
It took a lot of just like time and pondering. And honestly, my parents, they were amazing, and just being prayerful and thoughtful and recognizing kind of like it is what it is. You did what you did, and it brought you this amazing, beautiful baby.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that,
Right.
And so I feel like I had to force myself to get out of the guilt and shame mindset, and partially like the victim mindset.
Yeah, because
Where
that's
it was
essentially
like-
what it is.
Yeah, where I was like, boys treated me bad and this is why I led to this or whatever,
Yeah.
And I was justifying, but I got over the victim thing and like the guilt and the shame of like, what did I do? I ruined my life. And I got to a place where it's like, it is what it is, and this is great. We're gonna make it as great as possible.
Mhm.
And it altered, the trajectory of my life for the better. So it like instantly when you have a kid, I feel like your priorities are like very set.
Yeah, I've said before on a different podcast, like women go into the hospital one person, they come out a totally different person.
Yes,
Mothers are born in that hospital.
Right.
Dads are born about year 2.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Takes them a minute.
They're like, I feel like Chris is always supportive, but like his bonding came much later. He
Yeah.
wanted to play. He's
For
like,
sure.
oh, they don't do anything
Like they
right
just
now.
lay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel that too. I feel like I really didn't understand who I was until I had a baby. And then I was like, oh, this is exactly who I was made to be.
Yeah, totally. And it makes you just forget about all this stupid stuff. Like I wanted to be liked by everyone. I wanted to fit in with everyone, which kind of is what led me to getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And once I had him, I was like, okay, this is my purpose. This is my sole purpose in life is to be a mom.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, obviously it's hard, but like you just have it just focuses you on what's important.
So a few things you've said was like you felt shame and guilt, and then you felt like you should be doing something. How I feel like you don't know guilt until you become a mother.
Oh my gosh. That is the truest statement I've ever heard.
Like you think you understand it,
Right,
and then you
right.
become a mother and you're like, wow, this is guilt.
Yeah.
How do you still experience motherhood guilt?
Oh yeah, totally.
For sure. Same.
Totally.
And I have teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever goes away. And I think it partially in a sense is beneficial to a point to where you're like,
I actually think guilt is, I don't mind guilt. I hate shame.
Yeah, for sure.
I think shame is not purposeful.
Yeah, it does not help you progress.
Yeah,
at
I
all.
feel like guilt, sometimes you can make it become a momentum builder.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I feel this way, and now what?
Yeah.
But I
for
feel like
sure.
with shame, you just pick up a shovel and dig yourself a hole and sit in it.
Yeah.
And you
for
don't do
sure.
anything. You're just like stuck.
Yeah.
So how did you talk me through some of the ways you're working through your motherhood guilt and getting over it?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to just talking about it,
Mhm.
conversations
With like your friends?
with friends and with your spouse. And my husband's really great at being like, you're your own person still. Like you can still go out. You can still get out of the house and you deserve that. Because with my first and even with my second a little bit, I was like, I cannot leave them. Like this is,
Yes.
I can't pawn them off on someone else, even if
Right.
it's for an hour or whatever.
Well, and almost physically, like I couldn't leave my kids. Like I was like so attached to them
Yeah.
physically.
Yeah.
Like I would be like, no. I would be anxious the whole time I was away from them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I feel like with Keone, it's been like, okay, I know my boundaries for myself. I know what I want. I know my priorities with her. But also, I really love being my own person, and I love having the outlets, like creative outlets, and like going out with my friends. And obviously, it's not like super frequent. It's not really frequent. But when I do, I feel like I allow myself to be there in the moment, in the present moment, way more than I did before. And so I feel like I've worked through a lot of that. But then you still have those moments where you're like, oh, I hope my husband is doing good. I hope that he's taking care of her like I take care of her. And I hope she's doing okay. I hope she's not crying or whatever. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's inevitable. I don't think you can ever get rid of mom guilt.
I know. Well, now what I do is if I start to feel mom guilt for something, I'll go and find the kid that I feel mom guilty about, and I'll just like hang out with them for a little bit. It's like, I can't change the past.
Right.
Whatever scenario in my head led me to this moment right now.
Yeah.
All I can do is go and create like a new moment for myself.
Yeah.
It's harder, I think, when your kids are little and it's like, I do not want to get down on the floor and play cars with you.
Yeah.
But with my teenagers, like, tell me about, like, I can ask them interesting, cool questions and then get through that. When I was a young working mom, so I started working like when Hattie was a baby. And then the moccasins took off when Gus was born. And so I feel like I've always been a working mom.
Yeah.
And people would always say, how do you balance? And it's like, well, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance?
Impossible.
No, it's not a real thing. And then don't you feel guilty or whatever? And I'd be like, I told my dad one time, and my dad is very conservative, very traditional. But he grew up with a single mom. And so I was like, I feel guilty because I feel like I'm spending time with my children. Like they're in the room, but I'm not spending quality time with my children.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know what's interesting? If you would have told that to your grandmother, she wouldn't have understood that concept. Because think about it, used to take like a full week to do laundry.
Oh, yeah.
And so the kids were just somewhere in the vicinity.
Yeah.
And you were not concerned about the amount of time you spent with them. Now, I think nowadays, though, you're like, well, if I'm not spending time with them, then electronic or some other influence is spending time with them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But still, even that, you can't, like I always say, my first nanny was Netflix, and she did a great job. It's like, oh, I have to get something done. We're going to watch some Backyardigans. Just how do you keep pushing play? And we'll call it good. But I feel like as a working mom, sometimes that guilt is like, oh, great. One more thing I missed or one more thing I didn't get to be a part of. And I think as I look back on my childhood, the things I remember are the points where I saw my parents struggle or achieve or work hard. Those are more shining to me than like a moment of them spending quote unquote quality time with me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I feel that. I feel like when you have more than one child, you feel that mom guilt with your older kid when you have a baby, where you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I need dinner or whatever. And so in my mind, I've tried the small moments that I get with an individual child. I try to make it intentional instead of just like, yeah, whatever, do that. But I mean, yeah, the screen time is my friend.
Yeah. Oh, I don't believe in screen time. So
Okay.
I just am like, I don't know. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I read this article when I first started working, and it was from a child development psychologist. And she said that children actually only need 9 minutes of face-to-face contact with you a day.
Wow.
For correct development. And I need to find the study so we can link to it. And it does not have to be consistent. It can be broken up throughout the day.
Yeah.
So then that changed me. So then I would be like, okay, when I wake them up or when they get up in the morning, I'm going to pull them in bed. We're going to talk for a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
When I do breakfast, I'm going to sit them at the bar. So I always have had a bar countertop so that I'm like sitting there talking to them, looking them in the eye, touching them, like answering their questions.
Yeah.
And so that actually made me feel a lot better because I'm like, oh, this I can do.
Yeah.
This feels doable.
Yeah, for sure.
And it also took away a lot of mom guilt because I'm like, oh, so the other 23 hours and 51 minutes can be screen time is what you're telling. So what I'm hearing is, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so back to surviving that first week. So we get over our mom guilt. We ask our spouse for help. What is your one piece of advice you would say to someone outside of all that? I guess I already asked you one piece. What's another piece of advice you would say to someone?
Oh, gosh. Let me think about that. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. And
I do think being prepared Like,
Oh, yeah.
I can remember the night I went to labor, I was like vacuuming the floor before I left the house because I was
Yeah.
like, I want to come home to a perfect house. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like doing a lot of stuff to be prepared.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I was in like the nesting mindset for a couple months before I got the like necessities done really early. Like the crib was set up, the changing table, we had diapers, we had wipes. But then also allowing yourself to be like, okay, if she came today, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like we'd be good.
Yeah.
So getting those necessities down for sure eases your mind and makes for an easier coming home to like a prepared home for sure.
Yeah. I remember when I brought Hattie home, for some reason we like went on an outing like 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I'm thinking back now and it's like, why did I not just say no? I don't
Yeah.
want to go.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
You were trying to be a super mom.
I think so. And now I'm like, I was still like severely bleeding.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I will tell you, I've never felt more sorry for myself than that first shower home from the hospital.
My gosh. Literally, like your belly is weird.
Your belly's
and
weird.
gushy,
Yes.
and your hoo-ha looks weird.
Yes. It's
like
massive.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And every hole that could have something coming out of it has something coming out of it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I've never felt more sorry for myself. Be patient with yourself. That's like the trick of motherhood is just like lots of grace for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treat yourself like you would your best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. We are so mean to ourselves.
Totally. Yeah.
And it's so funny because we are so, well, at least for me personally, I'm so like self-deprecating a lot. But then I also have the mindset of like, but I can do everything. So it's like such a weird balance to be like, okay, I'm doing really great and I don't have to do everything.
Yeah. So I just went back at Freshly Picked full time, which was kind of a surprise. And I've noticed that my imposter syndrome, which I think is the entrepreneur man word for mom guilt,
Yeah.
is really bad or really good depending on the way that I talk to myself. And I think because there's no hormones involved and I'm not trying to care and keep alive a newborn who like, I feel like I can be more like observant of the way that I feel.
Yeah.
And when I am crap, you don't know anything. I can't believe you don't like when I'm hard on myself, then my performance goes down, my anxiety comes up, my self-doubt goes up, and I start questioning everything I'm doing. But people have been asking me like, how's it being back? And I'm like, it's great. It's easy. And it is great. Is it easy? I don't know, but that's what I'm telling people. So then it feels easy. And it really is true. Like the narrative that you're telling yourself inside your head becomes your reality. And then that becomes your thoughts, which then becomes your actions. Then that's where you're at.
Right. With this baby, I feel like it was such an easy postpartum and I expressed that instead of being like, but it's going to get hard. It's going to like the anticipation of it being
waiting
hard.
for the shoe to drop.
Yeah. I feel like being in the moment and being like, this is really great. We're doing really awesome. And who cares what comes next? Like right now we're doing really awesome because I feel like in the past it was like, yeah, we're doing okay. I think so. Yeah. Wait, who knows though, you know?
Yeah.
So being confident in where you're at and upselling yourself, like, doing super great.
Yeah.
This is really great.
Yeah. Delulu. I saw a pin today. Delulu is the Salulu.
But it's also like manifesting.
Yes.
Like, yeah, this is great. This is easy. I'm enjoying it. Yes. And then it becomes your reality.
Yeah. Your mind will believe what you tell it.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you again.
Of course.
You're the best.